Welcome to Watercolors with Jaylene. And so for today, I was just sitting here playing with some paints and creating, painting up some really cute little flowers. And I thought this would be a great time to do a quick little video of just painting some really easy, fun little flowers. You could use them as a border, as filler in a little painting, or just sit down with a piece of paper and some paints and have fun practicing. So before we get started, I would like to ask you to go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And if you enjoy this video, go ahead and hit the like button, and I'd really appreciate it if you would share this with your friends and family. It does help my channel grow, and I appreciate everyone's support. So to get started, basically I'll go over the materials list real quick. So I have a piece of watercolor paper and my number 4 round brush. It's got a nice big belly on it, so it'll hold a lot of paint for me. And then for the colors that I'm using today, really it's just going to be like an alizarin crimson. I might mix a little bit of violet with it to give it just a little hue of violet in some of the flowers. And then some of the other flowers I'm going to be using the cadmium orange, and I might mix in a little bit of the red with that as well. And then what I'll be doing is painting the petals of the flowers, and then I want those to dry really well. So while they're drying, we can go ahead and do some other maybe like the stems and the leaves, and then I'll go back and add some accents. Sometimes I do like to use a blending technique with the different shades that I'm using in the flowers, but you can see like these little ones I was kind of doodling with earlier, that it's very pronounced that there are a couple of different layers on there. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And then for the centers, I'll be dabbing in just some of the indigo. So to get started, I am going to grab some of my orange, and in doing this, to get started with the petals, and I'm going to move my paint tray out of the frame a little bit. I do apologize for that. But basically, there's just a very light amount of paint on my brush along with a lot of water. Because as I create the petals, I want them to be very light. And you can probably see how, just how light I am referring to. And then as I paint the petals, it's kind of just like a large teardrop, and I do like to kind of paint in a couple little wisps from time to time. And there's nothing, no set shape to these, because, out in the real world, flowers, the petals on flowers do have their own textures. And so I want this layer to be nice and light so that when I go back and add some other layers, they'll show up. And so as I paint these, you can see I'm just kind of blobbing some paint down in a rough teardrop shape, along with some loose wispy petals on the side. And I try to put in 5 petals. I like to do the odd numbers. And so here are 3 of these. Now for this one, I'm going to paint it so that it's not straight on. It's going to be kind of on its side, and you'll see, just that'll come to life more when I add the centers on, the little dots of the indigo in the middle. And I'll put another one right here. And so with this is just basically the orange. And you can see some of these get lighter and darker, and that's going to just add a lot of texture and character to the flowers as we build the layers. Okay, so those were done with just the orange, and now I'm going to grab some of the red, and it's the same thing with this. Very little color on the brush with a lot of water. And I'll add one here. You can see this is just a little bit darker of a color, and that's just natural. The oranges are going to be a little lighter in color and shade. And just adds for a nice little bouquet. So in here I'm going to do a flower, and it's going to be kind of not looking straight on. We have a few that are looking straight on and a few that are not. And I'll put another one down here. And you can see I'm just kind of, you know, putting paint down on the paper. Kind of willy-nilly, I guess. All right, so I think I'll add one more. And with this one, I mixed up a little bit of paint earlier before I turned the video on. So this one is the red with just a hint of the violet added in. And so you can kind of see where there's, you know, a little bit of a darkness on this that isn't on the other ones. Okay. All right, and I think I'll put one more with this darker paint color. And see how quick and easy these are? You know, there's not a whole lot of thought that goes into this, and that's why I like to sit and do these. If I feel like painting something but I don't really know what to do, then I do sit down and just paint a bunch of flowers and leaves. It's always good practice, and it's fun to do. And it doesn't take a whole lot of concentration, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. Okay, so now I'm going to grab some of my green, and this, the nice thing about the round brush is it does have a nice point on it. And so with that, I do have the green, and very lightly, I'm just going to draw in some stems, all coming down towards the bottom. And I'm doing this while I let the paint dry on the flowers so that we can go back through shortly and just add some of the texture into those. Let's see, there's quite a gap here. So we'll fill that in with some greenery. Let me grab okay, so there we have our stems, and now I'm going to go through, and for the leaves, it just takes a couple quick strokes, and you know, not too overdone with the leaves. We just want to get some of the greenery in there. And I'll go through and add some leaves throughout. In some areas, they'll be larger. And then get just some small little clips of greenery in some of these areas. And with the leaves, you know, they're pretty much little imperfections also, so you don't have to spend a whole lot of time on them. You know, just kind of put your brush down lightly and push, and with the, you know, push the belly of the brush onto the paper, and it will make that thicker leaf shape. And see if you go lightly and then push it down. And you can always paint the little tip on the end. Okay, so I think I'll put just a couple little sprigs here. I do like to fill it in, you know, in some of these areas with greenery, so that it doesn't look quite so bare. Whoops. And I think I'll just kind of have like a leaf coming out from behind that little flower blossom. And the same up here. Have a couple popping out up there. All right, I'm going to put one over here, and I'm trying to keep my hand away from the out of the thing so that you can see exactly what I'm doing here. But you can see I'm just adding a little bit of greenery around, and I'll add one right here. All right, so There's some greenery, and I might go back and add some more, but I think now I'm going to clean my brush off and get started with adding a couple of layers to these other colors. So for the oranges that I had put down, I want the accent colors, or the lines in the, I guess the veins in the petals, to be darker, of course. And so I have mixed my cadmium orange along with some of my crimson to give it a darker color. And just from the center of the petals, with the very tip of my brush, very, very lightly, I go through and just kind of add, you know, some wisps, shorter and longer, just to give it some character and texture. And there is quite a bit more paint on the brush for this. Okay. And it's just kind of fun to add this, you know, add the texture. Now, I think, well, let's get this one done. You can add as much or as little as you want. If you want to add a couple colors, that'd be fun. Really give the, you know, some flowers out in the real world have many colors to them. So for this one, I'm just going to be using these, but if you wanted to go and add maybe even a darker orange or a redder red, that would really be cute. Okay, I'm going to turn this just so I don't mud it up with my hand. Now this petal, I can tell, is still a little wet. So I'm going to leave that alone for now, just because I don't want that look on these particular flowers of the blending of the colors. As I had mentioned earlier, sometimes I do like to add a couple different colors so that they do blend in together, but this one I want the dry on wet, so I will let that one dry for just a little bit. And then for the red flowers, with the red and the purple or lavender that I mixed up, I'm going to go ahead and use that. It's a little bit darker, and I have a heavier amount of the color on my brush. It's not quite as watered down. And so we can, you know, start with these, and you can see how this is much darker. And a lot of it is just because I don't have as much water on the brush. Okay. So as I'm going through and adding the layer to these, as I mentioned earlier, if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now and get that taken care of. And if you're enjoying the video, if you could hit the like, that'd be great also. And then if you hit the bell, you will be notified when I have new videos coming out. I do post weekly. I try to post twice a week. Sometimes my regular job gets in the way of that, but I do like to try and get on here as much as I can. Okay, so you can see I did a little heavier one, a little heavier of a brush stroke there, and that's just because I had my brush tilted. So if you keep it upright, that's when, you know, you'll get the finest point. And so I have this one last flower to do here. And I was just sitting here kind of painting and having fun with this, and I decided to do this quick little video. So it is a short little video, but it gives you an idea of you know, something to sit and do if you want to be creative and you can't really come up with anything. This is a great alternative. Okay, so I pretty much have all of those done. All I need to do now is go back in and add the center seeds or stamens to each of the flowers. So for doing that, I'm using indigo. I'm not mixing it with anything. I do have it quite heavy on my brush, and I'm just going to be using the very tip of my brush, very lightly kind of dabbing it in the middle. And I like to leave a little bit of white in there because that does add texture and character to the flower, of course. And it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Now this is one of those half flowers, so what I'm doing here is just kind of building up that center. So you can see the center is there, and then the leaves are, or the petals are hanging down to the side of that. And then that's pretty much the same pretense for this one as well. And let me get a little more paint here. So it's really quick and easy. You could do these in shades of, oh, I don't know, blues and purples and magentas if you wanted to do peaches. And I'll tell you, a nice color for flowers is the burnt sienna. It really makes a nice orangish brown color. And those are great, especially for fall colors, but great on any flowers, really. And with spring coming, I thought this is just the perfect time to, you know, put something like this out there for you. And you can see that's still a little damp up there and it's bleeding into it, and that's okay. We aren't going to let that bother us at all. Okay, so that is pretty much it. We have all of our little bouquet of flowers, our fun little warming up project to get started, you know, with the creativity. And it's just a lot of fun, some great practice, play with your colors, you know, mixing your colors, and then also with putting down the petals of flowers with a very, very light amount of paint on your brush and adding layers after they dry. So that'll give you something to practice on. And that's it for today, and until next time, ciao for now.